It has been a week of ultimatums and wait and sees. If you looked at the flashing red lights of the stock market this past Monday, you saw a world on edge. President Trump issued a 48-hour warning regarding the Straits of Hormuz, the tiny strip of blue water that carries 20% of the world's oil. For a moment, it looked like the Great Reset was becoming the Great Collision. Big city traders like Tokyo and Seoul, that's Korea, didn't want to find out what happened next. They sold off. We saw that, folks. The Korean markets fell 6% and the Japanese fell 3%, and we'll talk about that here in a second. And here we are at home, the S&P dipping below its 200-day moving average for the first time in nearly a year. But then came the pause. A 5-day window for productive talks was opened. The markets took a ragged breath. And what about our friends, the shiny stuff? Well, I know I bought in here recently, and we'll talk about that too here in a second. And that's where the story really gets interesting. Usually when war clouds gather, gold and silver, you know this, they act like lightning rods, and they shoot straight up. But this week we saw something different. Gold, which has been sitting well over $5,000 just weeks ago, took a tumble down back to reality and is doing some interesting things since. Why? Well, some experts believe it's because of panic and everyone wants cash. Even the safe havens get sold so that big banks can pay their bills elsewhere. We saw that. We saw banks who basically got called on their assets and sold off a ton of metals last week, causing some major supply and demand differences. But the dust has settled as of Friday. Gold's climbing back to a respectable position, and silver is finding its footing right there around $70, which is what we expected to be the floor in this new age. While paper traders are chasing their tails, the strategic patriots, the folks who actually hold metals like you and I, let's just take a listen right quick. It just makes me feel good. So every now and again, I just have to hear that. I'm sure you're the same way. The Federal Reserve just held rates steady at 3.75%, unable to hide the fact that inflation is still sticky and energy prices are still up at the pump. They see that while the price of silver fluctuates on a digital screen, the value of an anchor in a stormy sea has never been higher. And that's kind of the center seat view. We're tracking a historical divide between the paper and the market, as you know, in this physical reality. And as we know, we look towards a new Fed chair in May, and that is an uncertain summer coming with the Middle East. Hopefully, we're done with that by then. But one thing is obviously clear. The volatility is not going away anytime soon, and neither are the demands for our friends, gold and silver. Now, a word before we dive down into these markets and these numbers. This channel is not owned by a massive media conglomerate or a Wall Street hedge fund. We're independent, folks, and we're made possible by viewers just like you. So I wanted to thank you for helping us sustain our efforts and looking at the objective markets in front of us on real newspaper so that I don't just find charts on a screen that look okay. If you find value in these deep dives, you can support us in some amazing ways. One, do what you're doing. Engage, like, subscribe, and share the video to help us beat the crazy algorithm that seems to be changing at light speed. Obviously, you can join if you want to become a channel member, and you can get some perks in doing so. For example, every month we're giving away silver, as we always do, but this year I decided that our channel members will also have at least a silver dime given away to one of them each month as well. Or, of course, you can secure your own assets and do the things that you're actually already doing and basically help this channel at the same time. If you're looking to add anchors of gold and silver to your own portfolio and you're thinking about using APMEX, which can have some amazing sales, you can use our APMEX link in the description. It costs absolutely nothing extra for you, but it helps us keep the lights on and our cameras rolling here at our studio. So, that being said, let's get into these markets. What a crazy week. Oh, by the way, this is an article you might be interested in. There is a battery on the horizon that is going to be a game changer for the EV market. And as you know, these batteries, well, they require silver, so I'll have to figure out exactly how much is in each battery. But this is supposed to be the next age of the EV battery right here. It's called a donut. So you can look into that if you're bored. And maybe you can, in the comments, get to the answers before I do and give me your thoughts on them. But I thought that cool, and I haven't got a chance to deep dive into it. But I have marked up the paper a little bit. Take a look here at the Dow Jones. 45166. That is down almost 800 points there, or 1.73%. Not a pretty week, folks. In fact, our all-time high here is at 50. So we're 5,000 points away from our all-time high. And if you take a look at our amazing ski slope here, you notice it's down. And if this were silver or gold, folks, you'd say, oh, this is a good time to buy in. This is what we call a dip. Markets are the same way. And the cool part is they compound. So don't think these are the enemy. If you get into index funds, mutual funds, statistically speaking, over a 5-year period, they are highly profitable. And this would be a good time if you have a little bit laying around and thinking about getting into markets just to diversify. Not a bad time, because that right there would be a nice resort ski slope. All right, S&P 500, we're at 6368, 100 points down, 1.67%. Once again, late January, our all-time high, where we were at almost 7,000 there. This one, more of the bunny hills. It's not quite the blue blacks and the ski slope, but it is going the same way. This must be the foothills of the mountain here in the S&P. NASDAQ, interesting story going on here. 20,984, down almost 500 points, 2.15%. Definitely went down the most, and you can see that whenever we basically have a cliff face. So I guess you ski, then you spelunk. I don't know exactly the process there. The dollar causing us some interesting issues, and this is probably one of the reasons the metals are acting the way they are in this weird time, is very, very unexpected territory. The dollar here has gone up of late in value. So that is very interesting. Well, what's going on in the world, folks? Brazil, right here. They are down. Let's see if I can help out here on the camera. Brazil down 0.85%. Not great there. The EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East, and African markets, down almost a full percent. We have the Eurozone sitting at 1.14% down. Denmark is down 2%. That's 15% on the year. They did not have a good year last year. I don't know what they're going to do in Denmark, folks. France down almost a full percent. Germany down 1.38. Israel down almost 4% there. Italy down 0.74. We have the Netherlands down 1%. We have South Africa down almost a full percent. Spain down almost a full percent. Sweden down a full percent. Switzerland 0.5%. And we have one of the UK markets, the FTSE 250, down 1.5%. What about Asia, folks? Well, not quite as dramatic. China is up just about 0.5%. We have India down 2.25%. There's a lot of things going on over there in India. We also have Taiwan that is sitting at negative about 0.5%. So not quite as loud over there in China. So what about your metals? That's why a lot of you come here to watch, and that's absolutely okay. I invest in the markets and I invest in the metals, and that's something that, I believe in both of those things. One of them is more defense, one of them is more offense, but they're both very valuable in my portfolio. So as we look into gold and silver for this week, we see that silver closed at $70.52 on the week, which, like I said, this is my estimate, is kind of going to be where this floor is, $68 to $70. And then we'll probably see an average this year, my guess in the 85 range. But hey, who am I? I don't know anything. That's just my gut talking. How about for the year? We have gained a little bit of footing, but we're still down on the year. With 70.52, that means we're down $1.76 since January 1st, which isn't that bad. It's only 2.43% on the year, which means we're still likely to be in the positive come year end here for this 2026 year. Gold A little bit different story. They're at 4,500, 4,509 to be exact, and that's negative $34 on the week, 0.75%. So really pretty flat this week on gold, which puts, honestly, gold at a year-to-date positive. They're up $175, and that's 4% on the year. So gold is still winning the year. Silver is kind of just holding flat, but both of them, in my estimation, are still going to be on a slow rise when things kind of settle, but that's just me. I'd like to know about you, though. You tell me in the comments below what you're expecting. And until next time, please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.